Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, 27th of October, 2022. I'm gonna pick up where I left off on Clubhouse last night. I wanted to go and deal with the missing chapters that's in the book of Daniel. Go into that and correlate it to the Apocrypha. Go more into it. I'm asking everybody to check out our videos on Prophets of Awakening. There's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you and bring you into the truth of the Hebrew Scriptures, the Tanakh. And if you understand the information that's being presented on Prophets of Awakening, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the Prophets of Awakening channel and hit the notification button if you can. This is a non-Messianic channel. For those that don't know, we deal with the Tanakh, the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, 35 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night. Okay, we're going to do our moment of silence, our prayer, we're going to do Psalms, our Women's Health Moment, and then we got some current events, little need to know information, and we'll open up for some Q&A, and then we'll go into dealing with the missing chapters that's missing out of the book of Daniel. Okay, so this moment of silence is for the Lord, our Creator Yahweh, and the Lord of Hosts, and all that they're doing to bring to pass the prophecies pertaining to Israel and our regathering. Oh Lord, we come before Thee this day, bow down with great respect for our Redeemer. Lord, you confess through your prophet Isaiah that you would return unto us and that you would pour out the Spirit upon us. You have poured the Spirit out upon us, O Lord, in great fashion. Because of this, O Lord, we have found you within your holy scriptures, great in counsel, mighty in works, for thine eyes are open upon the ways of men, to give everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. O Lord, behold, thou hast made the heavens and the earth by thy great power, and I stretched thy arm. There is nothing too hard for thee. Knowing all these things, O Lord, we are eagerly await thy coming in the day in which thou wilt break the yoke of our oppressors. Peace be unto you. Okay. Read the Psalms. Quick. Okay, I'm gonna read Psalm 21, praise for victory. It's a Psalm of David. The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation, how greatly shall he rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and hast not withholden the request of his lips. Selah, for thou preventeth him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head. He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it to him, even length of days forever and ever. His glory is great in thy salvation. Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him. For thou hast made him most blessed forever. Thou hast made him exceedingly glad with thy countenance. For the king trusteth in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High he shall not be moved. Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up with his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shall thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device which they are not able to perform. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their backs, and thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength. so will we sing and praise by power. Okay, that was Psalm 21. It was a psalm of praise for victory. It's a psalm of David. Okay, so here again in the psalm right here, we see that the attention and the direction of the Lord is upon David. You know, not just for a moment, but forever. It says right here in verse 4, He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it to him, even length of days, forever and forever. So it wasn't some temporary thing that he done. He did it. It was from everlasting to everlasting. The covenant and his desires and his love for David, the everlasting thing. Okay. So with that being said, we'll go into our health moment. Then we go into current event.
Shalom. I'm going to cover how being happy makes you healthier. Happiness is a broad term that describes the experience of positive emotions such as joy, contentment, and satisfaction. Did you know that being happy promotes a range of lifestyle habits that are important for overall health? Happy people tend to eat healthier diets with higher intakes of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Diets rich in fruits and vegetables have consistently been associated with a range of health benefits, including lower risk of diabetes, stroke, and heart disease. Being healthy may also improve sleep habit practices, which is important for concentration, productivity, exercise performance, and maintaining a healthy weight. Excuse me, that's my grandbaby. Happy people are more likely to take part in health promoting behaviors that play a role in keeping the immune system strong. Being happy may help reduce stress levels. Happiness may protect the heart by reducing blood pressure, a major risk factor of heart disease. Being happy may help you live longer. So, being happy doesn't just make you feel better, it is also incredibly beneficial for your health. Proverbs 16 and 20. He that handleth a matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusteth in the Lord, happy is he.
Okay. Appreciate that information. Okay. Um, we're gonna go to the current events, and like I said, think everything is we in those last days, everything being wrapped up. So that's one of the things I think that everybody should keep in on the forefront of their mind is that you know we at the very end, the way and these events happen so fast and so profound that you gotta be on your P's and Q's. Okay.
As 2022 got into its stride, United States President Joe Biden breezily tried to pass off sharp rises in inflation as the fault of President Putin. There was a problem with this, though. Most Americans can remember back to January, and they remember that prices were already going up before the Russians invaded Ukraine. What's more, it's not the Russians who are messing with supply chains and restricting the flow of vital commodities to the point where already high prices get pushed even higher. No, that's being caused by American-led sanctions. It goes deeper too, because even if the oil price is even higher than it otherwise would be because of restrictions on Russian supplies, Americans know it would still be high anyway. Why? Because for the better part of a decade and a half the Federal Reserve, and its counterparts in Europe and elsewhere, have been printing money hand over fist and flooding the world with paper currency. Now, everyone knows that when there's a glut of something on the market, as there is now with the dollar, its value goes down. That's bad for the average wage earner, because the money they get paid doesn't go as far. The dollar's worth less, the goods are worth more, and the everyday punter is worse off. Bad news for politicians too, because who's going to vote for that? Just watch the midterms and see. But it's not bad news all round though, not quite. There is one beneficiary from this massive devaluation of currency and the concomitant relative impoverishment of ordinary citizens: the state. That's because the state, and not only in the USA, has gotten into terrible debt over the past 15 years. First off, the state systems of the USA and Europe combined to bail out virtually the entire Western economy in 2008. This was the first strike and caused massive debt to be incurred. But don't worry, a huge money printing program was also initiated and cleverly marketed under the guise of stimulus. Then came COVID. Again, the combined state systems of the West disappeared inside their own nightmarish disinformation worlds and halted almost all human contact, never mind economic activity. This caused the second strike, and again massive debt was incurred. Not everyone was on board with all this foolishness, and some far-sighted pundits warned of inflation long ago. But proponents of money printing had a special way of sneering at them called modern monetary theory, in which they elaborated a complex system of smoke and mirrors to explain just exactly why a massive boost to the money supply would not mean inflation. It was an alluring enough theory that when inflation did come along, creeping up on the world through hard assets, property and commodities, before bursting into the mainstream narrative a year or so ago, the proponents of MMT argued that this was a different type of inflation. Could it be that the top people believe that inflation is actually desirable as a way of wiping out 15 years' worth of unimaginably high debt, but that they're not quite ready to come out and say it yet? For now, we will let President Biden carry the can and decide what to do, and if push comes to shove, perhaps there will be one or two policymakers who will be willing to come out with their own versions of the truth. Perhaps it will run along the lines of the famous statement issued by the perpetrators of the My Lai massacre: "We had to destroy your economy in order to save it." Inflation and the housing market. The go-to line this year from analysts and economists alike is that the Fed will push until something breaks. Increasingly, it's looking like that something might be the weakening U.S. housing market. Kristen Riffle, a real estate agent in Las Vegas, said, "Las Vegas is one of the leading indicators for home price action in the housing market, like we saw in 2008 and the recent frenzy. We are absolutely feeling the heat here. The buyer pool has, for the most part, dried up. But we're already seeing these housing-spurred economic contractions. Homebuilders are cutting back. Real estate firms are trimming headcounts. And some regional housing markets, like Boise and Seattle, have already slipped into a home price correction. Realtors are feeling it big time, as well. I put in a call to the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, and the employee I spoke with said that they were averaging about 300 new members every month. This month she had estimated 120. However, she has been processing about 30 realtor withdrawals a day, Riffle says. That means every day around 30 real estate agents in Las Vegas alone are calling it quits. When analysts say the Fed will push until something breaks, they're implying the Fed's inflation campaign is going to continue until either inflation abates or something pushes the economy into a recession. That something could be distress in the bond market, or perhaps liquidity issues at major financial firms. But there's also growing concern that the something could be the housing market. Mortgage rates are rising fast, historically fast, a historic affordability shock. That's the best way to describe why the housing market might be the thing that breaks. The pandemic housing boom, which saw U.S. home prices climb 43% in just over 2 years, coupled with 7% mortgage rates, has simply pushed affordability beyond what many would-be borrowers can afford. Relative to incomes, it's actually more expensive to buy now than it was at the height of the housing bubble. Whenever mortgage rates rise, some would-be borrowers, who must meet lenders' strict debt-to-income ratios, lose their mortgage eligibility. When mortgage rates spike from 3% to 7%, it translates into millions losing their ability to purchase. U.S. home building is slowing down fast. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. Got a little mix up there for a minute. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay.
Story from Bloomberg last week, and I haven't mentioned it because I wanted to make sure I had some facts on it. I called Carol Roth. I called everybody I know, and they were like, that doesn't seem... Well, I don't know. Let me look into it. Carol is here to explain this. Here's what I found in Bloomberg. Asia has net imported gold from the West since April. The trade flow into China, 160 tons of gold. Into India, 80 tons. Into Turkey, 62. Thailand, 38 tons. Saudi Arabia, 20 tons. Malaysia, 4 tons. Hong Kong, 3 tons. Where do they get all this gold? Well, the UK sold 15 tons of gold from their treasury. 32 tons, South Africa. Canada, 33. Australia, 34 tons, and the United States of America sold 136 tons of gold. Did we send that to China? Why are we selling gold when smart money would be buying gold? Hopefully, Carol will have an answer for us in 60 seconds. Carol, please tell me I'm reading too much into this. Please tell me. Please tell me.
So this has been a little bit of a Nancy Drew mystery for me, Glenn. I saw this Bloomberg piece as well, and it was a little bit of a head scratcher. So I'm going to take you through some of the things that I found, and hopefully we can piece this together.
Okay. This is really weird because I went to some really big brains that know this kind of stuff. No one had an answer for me.
Okay, so I think so. I'm going to wrap it in a bow first, and then I'm going to walk it back. But I think this is the short-term trader mindset versus people who have a long-term view on the world. So this is short-termism versus long-termism.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that we have to understand, the first thing I did is went, oh my gosh, all of this gold is flowing east, or where is it coming from? So is our central bank that dumb that they're selling gold? So I pulled up a chart of central banks, and central banks have actually been net buyers of gold for most of the year since April, which is the same time period as the chart, this April to August. They have pretty much everybody is a purchaser of gold. There's almost, just a
including
tiny
us?
little bit of selling. Every central bank in the world, which means that even if we're not purchasing it, we're not selling any. There's almost no net sales. So that means our central bank isn't the one that's selling this. So we'll take that off the table.
Here's what I couldn't figure out either. Is the Treasury the same as the central bank? Does the central bank have all of the Treasury's gold? Well,
they're probably not, but let me walk through where I think this is coming from. Okay.
All right.
So the second piece I went to is the consumer market, and consumers seeing what's going on with inflation, understanding that a recession's here and that it's going to get worse next year, have also been buying. And by the way, we can't supply them. So both here in the US as well, particularly in the East, much more in the East, there's been an additional premium. And so I'm going, what's going on here? What you have to understand about the market for gold is that the prices for the gold that when you call gold line to buy your gold, like you and I do, Glenn, you're buying physical gold, but that price isn't being set by the supply and demand of you and I buying it. It's being set by the futures market, by these traders who are trading contracts. And all of these derivative products, the options, the futures, they are so much larger than the underlying product. And yes, if this sounds like a familiar story, it is one. But the research estimates put the side of these futures market at $200 to $300 trillion of value being traded when the underlying supply of gold
Yeah.
The underlying supply of gold is like 11 to 12 trillion dollars.
This is why I say all the time, don't buy paper gold. Don't do it. Don't do it. You will be worthless in the end.
Exactly. So let me tell you what's happening. So these traders are looking just not at what's happening in terms of the physical supply and demand, but they're looking at, little blips on their screen, and they're saying, oh, well, historically, when we have a strong dollar, that means that's not good for gold. So we should probably get out of it as the Fed tightens their monetary policy. They have gotten to the
times 8.
32,000 times 8,100 times 1,700.
Times 1,700.
Right. So I'll do it again. 8,100 times 32,000 times 1,700 is, let's see. Okay. Yeah, 440 billion.
No.
So again, I think maybe you sure about that number of 32,000 ounces per? I don't know.
I will look it up.
Look it up.
Too low.
Yeah, that's way too low.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be in the trillions. It's got to be in the trillions.
Ounces to tons.
It's probably somewhere, I would say, between 440 billion and $1 trillion. I don't know because again, like you said, it's just the central bank piece of it. But at any rate,
wow.
the U.S. has more than
Yeah. So anybody that know anything about gold and that much gold being moved around, it's they set the stage for a war. They already know it's going to be a war. And the people that's moving all this gold is Esau, the bankers. The same thing happened with Hitler. That's what Hitler was in behind. And a lot of people don't know about that part of the war that was going on. Hitler was going to all these different countries, robbing them of their gold to use it for to stock up his gold and stock up his wealth in order to to fund them when the war, and they was hiding it. They was moving it all over the place. When he was trying to find it, he found some of it, but a lot of it they was hiding it, moving it in trains and all that. And the same thing going on now. They all these countries, you notice, it's the brick countries. They stocking up all this gold, and so like the guy was saying, why would America cough up that much gold? Because it's all working together. It's a plan. They already know this. They already know the outcome. Yeah. So that's a dead giveaway. And not only when I see that, I go back to the Creator. In Genesis, where he said that the land of Havilah, where he had given to Adam, he said that was gold, plenty of gold, and it was for Adam. But when you notice that we was in captivity, and a lot of people don't really fully understand that either, but we was in captivity in Egypt, we came out, the Lord of hosts made it a point that we had a whole bunch of gold when we came out, right? Why? Because what we had to do when we got to the land of Canaan, we had to build a city, we had to build a temple, so we had to have all those resources, all that gold when we got there. Same thing when they left Babylon. We needed gold. That was the money. That was the standard. It still is the standard. So we leave here. We're gonna need gold. The same gold they talking about, right? I read out of Isaiah chapter 60, where it tells us that he's going to convert the forces of the Gentiles, the wealth and the forces of the Gentiles. He's going to convert it over to us. We're looking at it. We're looking at it being transferred and being set up as we speak. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Shalom. Shalom. Okay, so with that being said, I got one more
performs ancient rituals to prepare for the third temple and the coming of the Messiah. Israel believes this year is a special year, a year when the Messiah can come, not necessarily will, but can. Jews think that the Messiah can come only on a special year, 1 year out of 7, and they believe this is one of those years. So this week, on Tuesday, full dress reenactment of 2 ancient ceremonies took place: the ancient water libation ceremony and the Hakel ceremony, just as they were performed in the temple back in ancient Jerusalem. And these ceremonies were held in Jerusalem as part of a preparation for the third temple and the coming of the Messiah. The water libation is a ceremony which is recorded in the Gospel of John, where Jesus made a very famous statement, which we're going to discuss in a moment. So we have a lot to talk about today in this video: why the Jews and this ministry think the Messiah returns on a special year as designated by the 70th week of Daniel, and whether this is that year, what Jesus' relationship to this year and the ceremony is, etc. But first, a shout out to Stephen Welk, a member of our community, who brought this all to our attention. The rivers of living water will flow out of those who believe in him. Notice the people hearing Jesus say this immediately connect this statement with Jesus being the Messiah. The next day, the religious leaders brought the woman caught in the act of adultery to Jesus to try to trick him, where he famously said, "Let him who is without sin cast the Shemitah year." In temple times, a large wooden stage would be erected near the temple courtyard where the king would read the designated sections of the Torah. This is the special year that Jews believe will someday mark the arrival of the Messiah, the year after the Shemitah year. The Babylonian Talmud, in the Tractate of Sanhedrin 97a, quotes a verse from Amos 9:11. Quote, "As it is written in that day, I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. Our rabbis taught that in the 7-year cycle, at the end of which the son of David will come in the first year, this verse will be fulfilled." Jews believe that on Rosh Hashanah, 2 weeks ago, the Shemitah or sabbatical year ended. Now, in this previous video, this ministry discussed why we believe that the Shemitah is this year, not last year, and that next year is the year after a Shemitah.
Okay, you notice how you changed that, how you flipped it all around when it came to the verse you read out of Amos 9:11, when it says that he's gonna let me read it. And that's what they did. It's one of the things that one of the trickeration they did with us when it comes to dealing with scriptures in the New Testament versus the Old Testament. It says in Amos, let me get it. It says Amos 9:11. Says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and I will close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days old." So he said he's going to raise up the tabernacle of David, but he turned around and said, "Son of David." But scripture says, "In that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and I will close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, David's ruins, and I will build it as in the days old." Don't say nothing about no son of David. Okay? So, like I was saying before, they plotted and planned this from way back, some 2,500 years ago, and now they making it happen. We get the Creator and Lord of Hosts has prophecies in the end time scenario, but they didn't concoct their own. They using technology that they didn't gather to try to bring about this scenario, end time scenario that they didn't concoct it. So you have to be aware of that. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any? I'm opening up for some Q&A, comments. Anybody have any comments or anything they want to talk about or they heard they want some clarity on? Okay, yeah. So I had kind of talked about last night on Clubhouse about how they burning the Bibles out of those the so-called Africans, the 10 tribes over in West Africa are burning up the Bibles now. All of a sudden, they woken up. So I'm gonna play that. It's like 2 different videos. I'm gonna play them and kind of just want to put it on record for people that's they can come across it. Maybe it can help somebody. But here we go.
Africa, you will definitely pack your load and go.
And we are telling our people, a black man, you cannot serve a God that was given to you by your slave master. How is this possible? Think, Africa, think.
So we are seeing a shift here on the continent. The tides are changing, although slowly, but certainly. Africans are denouncing foreign religions. So Islam, Christianity, they are backing out and want absolutely nothing to do with it ever again. An awakening is going on, guys. Africans have been asleep for a very long time, but they are finally waking up. And we're talking about all across the continent. It's happening. I have 2 clips right here I'm going to put up for you guys to see from Nigeria here and from Congo. These clips are from. And this is happening because Africans are slowly, finally starting to realize that these religions are nothing but a tool that was used to colonize, enslave, and subdue them.
ekosonga krisi pap yoka ngai malamu administration yo tia na Afrique nakebisi yo wana ezali premier épisode oyo okutani na yango soki osalele olobi verité na makambo osala na Afrique. Deuxième épisode ekoya mo Mexique François yoka ngai malamu soki matoi na yo esimbi yango te okomena makambo koya na Afrika natondi yo.
As you could see and hear for yourself, this is happening right now on the continent, guys. Slowly but certainly, it is happening and it is spreading. The minds of the people are getting decolonized. Like I said, it's an awakening that's going on. If you go on TikTok, you would see numerous young people making decolonizing content, hitting it back to back with accurate historical events that they would rather we forget that are not being taught in schools. African children are deconstructing everything from South Africa to Nigeria to Ghana. You see people making content on TikTok and it's beautiful to see. Right now, I'm just going to get out of your hair and let the next clip roll so you guys can see and hear for yourself. And this next clip is coming from Nigeria, actually from my state, Edo State. It's happening and it's happening somewhat majorly. It's like an overnight change. We are seeing this new this new turn of events. It's almost as if someone just snapped their finger and everybody's waking up, like the veils are just falling out of our people's eyes, left, right, center, and I'm here for it.
Jesus Christ is a stranger in Africa. You will definitely pack your load and go. We are telling you today to pack your load and go. All those evil acts you have becoming, the committee in our community, committee in Nigeria, committee in Africa. We tell you, Jesus Christ, pack your things and go. That you and all your followers, all your agents, that you people are fake. Those fake miracles that you people are doing state manage, it is fake. We know it's fake. So if you know you can heal any sickness, Jesus Christ, we are putting this question to you. If you can heal any sickness, if your reverend fathers can heal any sickness, if they can heal any person that is sick, if they can cure any sickness, let them come and meet us on the 1st of November in Irua Specialist. I challenge all the reverend fathers, I challenge all the apostles, they should come so that they can heal any kidney patient there, they can heal any person that have liver problem, any person that have kidney problem, any person who is sick, so that they will just pray and the person will get up and go home without paying anything again from the hospital. So I want you people to come and I'm challenging every of you. You say you can raise up the dead. Yes, come there. They will bring out a dead person for you all to pray and let the person walk. You say Jesus Christ can give us life. Yes, we will look for one dead transformer so that you stretch your hand on it and pray for the transformer so that the transformer will give us life. So put onto that. They tell you that Bible did not born. If you put it like this, it will not born. But when you tear it one after the other, it will born. So the Bible is just like other novel. If you carry any other book and put it just like this, it will not born because it comes together. So as they come to Africa, come to Nigeria, kill our mother, use our children to feed newborn baby. You can see this little child here now. This little child. If it is in abroad, they will be paying this child. So they put us in zero condition. So we don't want that any longer. So we want our children to train them from school, and those our children will get jobs. So, his body, yes. They say we know, but his body. His body, look at it, his body. They have killed so many of our mother by tricking them in Benin. Even when the Dahosa was alive, Archbishop Dahosa, He brought so many our mothers to look, destroyed them, made them to mad, kill them without saving them again. His money, oh, look at it, his money. So if you want to burn it, you tear it like this.
So, guys, this is a little update from the continent. Of course, not every African is here yet, but we are.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
That's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. Yes. We're waking up all over the place.
Yeah, Amazon. So we said that, like I was saying about all these clowns out there with all these different doctrines. So you've been fumbling with it for the longest, trying to figure out where the 10 tribes is. But there it is, right there. They're waking up. Who the hell else is it? They're waking up to the lies of the New Testament. They're the ones who were blinded. We the ones who blinded. Judah, Benjamin, Levi was brought over here. And so the 10 tribes is being awakened. They're waking up right there. It ain't the Indians. Ain't on the reservations. Okay? Okay? So yeah. Like I said, suck on that. Anyway, we got anybody else got any comments on that? So that video name of it is Africans Are Denouncing Christianity. So you want to check it out. Yeah. So with that being said, I was gonna deal with this. I kind of talked about it last night a little bit while I was doing the room with on the missing books of the Bible, and they are correlation to these end times and how they are relevant. That contrary to what the Europeans and Esau is saying that they're not relevant, but they're relevant. And they are holy scriptures. Matter of fact, they more holy than the King James Bible is. Book of Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees, those are holy books. Okay, came from a creator, from our Redeemer, from the prophets. Okay, so my thing is, like I said, I want to expound on the book of Daniel and show you how important the book of Daniel is, and they shredded it because that's where all the meat was at in the book of Daniel, and they shredded it. They put bits and pieces of it over in Revelations, and that's why now they go from the book of Daniel to the book of Revelations. And I was showing you how. I'll give you an example before I get into this. If you go to and like I said, you can I mean, you just sit back and look at a clown whenever he says when he starts talking to you about the Antichrist and bringing that up. Let's look at this. Daniel. Daniel right quick. Chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11, right? So when you write about the scriptures, you'll see that I was showing you that Gabriel came to Daniel and told him that the Israelites was going to get destroyed in the third beast, right? But when he done this, Daniel was in captivity in Babylon. So these angels bring in information to the prophets, giving them information in advance. That's what prophecy is. These angels getting it from this book that's in heaven that Lord of hosts Michael and Gabriel is looking at. And they're getting this information and they coming to the earth. So let me give you that right quick. It says in chapter 10, right quick, picking it up in verse 19, Daniel 10 and 19 says, and they said, "Oh man, greatly," Gabriel talking to Daniel, "Oh man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee. Be strong, be strong." And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened. And he said, "Let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me." Then said he, Gabriel, talking to Daniel, "Know thou wherefore I come unto thee, and I will now return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come." These fallen angels elves and principalities just over these different regions of the earth that was given to them back during the time Tower of Babel. Verse 21. But I will show thee, Gabriel telling Daniel, I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There's none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. So Gabriel is telling us right here, Michael and him are the ones that's looking at this book. That's why Gabriel is the angel of understanding. They're looking at this book in heaven. That's how they're able to come and prophesy. Like when he came to Abraham, he told him, you're going to have a son, and you're going to name him Isaac. They're getting all that from this book, scripture of truth. If they read, they're looking at it. They come to the earth and they're giving to these men, and then they watching over this. They're watching over whatever it is that they see, they know going to happen. They're watching over it, that it perform itself. That's why he's saying that I've spoken it and I'm going to perform it because of that. So anyway, notice what we in the book of Daniel, and Gabriel just came to him. They in captivity in Babylon. So it's only 3 beasts coming. 4 beasts. It's Babylon, Medes and Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. So Gabriel came to him while he in captivity in Babylon, telling him what's to come, that the Medes and the Persians coming and the Greeks are coming. And when the Greeks get here, at the end of their kingdom, they're going to destroy the nation of Israel. Not the 4th beast, but the 3rd beast. So he says right here in verse Daniel 10, like I said, I ain't write it, it's right here in the book. So Daniel chapter 10 says, then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia. When I am gone forth, Lord, the prince of Greece. So he's telling him, he's during the time he in the present day is in Babylon. And he's saying that he got to go back to the Medes and Persians where they at, because they coming. And he got to go and fight with the principality, the El that's over them. He got to go deal with them. So that brings us to Daniel chapter 11. So we see that in Daniel chapter 11, Gabriel's still talking. It's just a continuation. These Edomites, they put chapters and verses in there, but it's just a continuation. So chapter 11 says, also I, is Gabriel talking. Also I, in the first year of Darius, the Mede, even I stood to confirm and strengthen him. See that? So he's telling you, he's standing there to strengthen Darius, because of, if you go back and get the proper understanding, you'll see that these angels are these wicked men, but these angels, these men are being used to bring fulfillment to what he told the Israelites. So Darius, Cyrus, all of them, they played a big role in the Israelites returning back and building their temple. So he says right here in chapter 11, all this stuff that already happened. But when you go to the mega pastor and the rabbi and all them, they're telling you chapter 11 is in the future. It's the Antichrist. But I'm going to show you that's a lie. So chapter 11 says, also, I, in the first year of Darius, the Mede, even I stood to confirm and strengthen him, right? Then verse 2, and now I will show thee, see that? Giving them a prophecy, something in the future. Now I will show thee the truth. See that? I will show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia. See that? Second beast. And this ain't no futuristic prophecies. All this stuff to happen. 3 kings in Persia. And the 4th shall be far richer than they all. That's Darius, the last king of the Medes and Persians. And by his strength and through his riches, he shall stir up all against the Greeks. That's the 3rd beast. So Darius went and attacked because he had so much wealth and power. He took it upon himself and went and attacked Athens and burned it down. That's what it means right here when he says he stirred up against the realm of Greece. He went over there and when he destroyed Athens, that brought the Greeks to the Middle East. Okay, so then 3 says, and a mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion and shall do according to his will. That's Alexandria. They ain't just saying nothing to do with no now. So he says, and when he shall stand up his kingdom shall be broken. All this is then over in Daniel chapter 7 and 8. Broken, and shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven, and not to his prosperity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even forever, beside those. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, he shall be strong above him, and have dominion, and his dominion shall be a great dominion. So let's look at that. So when you start reading this in chapter 11, you can go read on your own. I'm just jumping you off. So when they say king of the south, Alexander died, his kingdom was divided into four parts: north, south, east, and west. You had these four different kings. Bartholomew is the king of the south because he took Egypt. Then you had the Seleucid dynasty that took the north. So these kings, it's not nobody in the future. It's all this stuff already transformed, transpired. Okay, so he says, verse 7, but out of the branch of her roots shall one stand up in this estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal with against them, and shall prevail, and shall also carry captive into Egypt their gods, with their princes, and with their precious vessels of silver and gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the north. Right? So the king of the south shall come in his kingdom, and shall return in his own land, but his sons shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come, overflow, and pass through. Then shall he return and be stirred up even to his fortress. And the king of the south shall be moved with clover, and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north, and he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hands. And when he have taken away the multitude of his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall be cast down. He shall cast down many tens of thousands, but he shall not be strengthened by it. For the king of the north shall say, this is one of Alexander's generals that he divided his kingdom up with. The king of the north shall return and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and he shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. So this is the verse right here. This is for all the naysayers. Daniel chapter 11, verse 14. And in those times, right, you're going to see it ain't got nothing to do with today. In those times, there shall many stand up against the king of the south, that's Bartholomew. Also the robbers of our people shall exalt themselves to establish a vision, but they shall fall. So what that's telling you right there is that, okay, what happened is when you read all this stuff right, like I said, they got the books they got them all out of line because you can't, Cyrus came after Daniel, got these prophecies, but they got the book of Ezra in front of Daniel, but it goes behind Daniel. You got the books all out of place. So this right here is what Obadiah tells you, that Esau stole the land of Israel. So he says, he's telling you right in verse 14, and in those times, this is when the king of the south came to fight with the king of the north. At those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south, also the robbers of our people. So the robbers of Israel, the nation of Israel, land of Israel, is what I showed you in Daniel chapter 8. He says it's latter time of the Greek kingdom, that a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences gonna stand up and destroy Israel. Not in 70 AD, but in 143 BC. And we see it again right here. It says 14, Daniel 11 and 14. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south, also the robbers of our people. So Israel already been robbed. This ain't no futuristic prophecy. So the robbers of our people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fall. So what's the vision? Herod built a temple. He an Edomite. He built a temple just like David or Solomon built one in Zerubbabel. They once they got the land, they picked up the vision too. They built the temple. So let's look at Isaiah right quick. Show you how all this stuff flow together. So I'm in Isaiah right quick. And we'll get there in a minute too. I want to show you how all these chapters that's missing out of the book of Daniel, and they're right in our face. So I was going to Isaiah. Yeah, let me get it. Okay, Isaiah 66. I'm bouncing off of Daniel chapter 11, verse 14, about they shall pick up the vision, right? So I'm in chapter 66 of Isaiah. This is the Lord talking. He's talking about a futuristic event, right? Containing Israel. Thus says the Lord, the heavens is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye have built unto me? And where is the place of my rest? For all these things have mine hands made. All those things have been, said the Lord. But this man will I look, even to him that is a poor and of a contrite spirit and trembles at my word. He that killeth an ox is as if he had slew a man. He that sacrificed a lamb as if he cut off a dog's neck. He that offered an oblation as if he offered swine's blood. He that burneth incense as if he blessed an idol. Yea, they have chosen their own ways, and their soul delighteth in their abominations. I also will choose their delusions and will bring their fears upon them, because when I called, they did not answer, and when I spake, they did not hear. But they did evil before my eyes and chose that which I delighted not. So this is what got them kicked out of the land. This is the reason he brought Antioch Epiphanes, because they turned from him, being just gave him a hand, just ignored him altogether. So he cast them out. So verse 5 is the precept I'm going to. Verse 5 says, hear ye the word of the Lord. This Isaiah talking. Hear the word of the Lord, ye that tremble at his word. Your brethren, that's Esau, that hated you, that cast you out for my name's sake. Cast them out of where? Out of the land of Israel. In 143 BC, when Antiochus came. He was there with him. Let me read that. I'm in Obadiah right quick. So I'm in chapter Obadiah. It's only one chapter. Verse 10 says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, talking to Esau, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, foreigners entered into his gates. That's the Greeks. Entered into the gates of Jerusalem and cast lots upon Jerusalem. So 12 lots. Israel was divided up into 12 lots. They cast lots upon Jerusalem, stole land. Even thou was one of them, talking about Esau. But thou should not have looked on that day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day that their destruction. This is the prophecy that Gabriel gave Daniel, that Israel is going to come to an end in the third beast. Right here, that's what he's talking about. So destruction, neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress. Thou should not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity, right? Yea, thou should not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither should thou have stood in the crosshairs to cut off those that did escape. Neither should thou have delivered up, excuse me, those of them that did remain in the day of distress. So they killed the remnant because they wanted the land, and they got the land. And that's why when you go to Daniel, okay, chapter 11, and it's only telling you one thing. When you write it divided, it says chapter 11, verse 14. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south, Ptolemy in Egypt. South also, the robbers of our people shall exalt themselves to establish a vision, but they shall fall. These Edomites stole the land back in Obadiah. Nobody seemed to know, right? But they stole the land and they've been living there all that time. That's how we got the New Testament. They came in and got our records. And Ptolemy is ruling, and him and his sons, wicked ass sons, ruling in Egypt. So you got Edomites in Jerusalem, and Edomites in Egypt. That's how you get the New Testament. They correlate between they got our records and they back and forth with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Jesus is Horus. That's all that is. You know, you gotta let that ferment. But so that's what that is. So that's what Daniel chapter 11, verse 14 is talking about. It's not talking about nobody, future or just coming. It's in latter days. Daniel was prophesied to Daniel that Israel was going to come to an end in the third beast because they turned away from him, and his indignation and came to a fool. Let me read that again. I go back to Daniel, breaking this down with Daniel. So in Daniel chapter 8, verse 18, Gabriel came to Daniel. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation, or the time appointed the end shall be. That's not the end of the world. We still here. So he's talking about the end of the world. He's talking about the nation of Israel gonna come to an end. The calamity that Obadiah talking about. When this prophecy came on them, Esau was there. When the Greeks came, he came. He wanted the land from all the way back when he lost the blessings and the birthright and the blessing. He never forgot that. And so when the opportunity presented itself, he came in and stole the land. Ain't no Israelites there after Antioch Epiphanes came. They didn't flooded into Africa. They're all up at the top of Africa, up by what is on top of the Sierra. I mean the Sahara Desert. And they eventually came. They found their way down through the Sahara Desert through these trade routes, and these people traveling with the dealing with the salt. Those so-called Bedouins or whatever you would call them. But they eventually trickled down into the west coast of Africa, and you had other ones came up another route. They all ended up on the west coast, which is Negro land. But like I said, they left in 143 BC. All that you're reading about in the New Testament and all that, them Edomites, they didn't confiscated the Judea and the land of Israel and Egypt. They the ones behind the Library of Alexandria. That's where they concocted the New Testament in. And Serapis. And then eventually Serapis became Jesus. Okay? So anyway, so we see right there that Daniel chapter 11 has nothing to do with no futuristic prophecies. All that can happen already. But they took that and put it on in Revelations because they had to extend the lie that was going on with JC. Yeah, bringing back a second coming. They originally concocted him to subdue those Edomites because they was causing problems in the Roman Empire. And they went to Josephus and asked him what they needed to do to subdue them, to take away that perverted zeal they had. And he told them the scriptures that God they got is got zeal. So you got to give him a docile God. That's where all this coming in about him turning the other cheek and all this stuff. Okay. So anyway, let's go back over here to the apocryphal books. Anybody got any comments? Before go back. Any questions or comments? Okay. Yeah, it's got videos on Prophets of Awakening about this. Particularly if you go to the playlist with uncomfortable conversations. It's like 12 different uncomfortable conversations, and it lay all that out. So anyway, if you go to I'm in the apocryphal books. I touched on this last night, so I felt like I needed to come back and go all the way in on it. So we see right here, it says these are books, apocryphal books. It says the Edition of Esther, okay, Barak, Bel and the Dragon, Ecclesiastes, First Ezra, Second Ezra, Judith, Letter to Jeremiah, First Maccabees, Second Maccabees, Third Maccabees, Fourth Maccabees, the Prayer of Azariah, the Prayer of Manasseh, Psalms 5:1, the Song of the Three Jews, okay, Susanna, Tobit, okay, and the Wisdom of Jesus, son of Sirach, and the Wisdom of Solomon. So when you understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you this. We'll dive into it. So you see, we know already that the prayer of Azariah, the song of the three Hebrew boys, it's already in Daniel. That's when that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they sung this song right here whenever they was put in a situation when they had to be put in the fiery furnace, and they were singing songs or hymns to Lord of Hosts to come and deliver them from the fiery furnace. So we know that Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego come out of the book of Daniel, but we don't have this. A lot of the information that's in this book right here is not in the King James. But my point is this right here. I'm in Susanna. Okay, I'm in the book of Susanna that's in the Apocrypha. I'm going to show you how big the book of Daniel really is. Okay, so let me get. So like I did another video on how all these Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were boys. They was young boys. They were teenagers. Okay, so let me get it. Yeah, here you go.
Hey,
So,
where can I find the book of Apocrypha?
you just go on eBay. Like I said, get them used. You can go on eBay. You can go on Amazon. Just type it in, and they'll come up. All different types of apocryphas, and just like I said, get them used. Go down to where it say used books and get the used ones. They're a lot cheaper.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm reading out of the book of Susanna that's in Apocrypha. So it says, okay, let me get to this. It's long, bro. So it says, this is the story of Susanna.
Long. Sorry about that.
It's all good. See, there once lived in Babylon a man named Jehoiakim. He married a wife named Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah, a very beautiful and pious woman. Her parents also were upright people and instructed their daughters in the laws of Moses. Joachim was very rich, and he had a fine garden adorning his house. And the Jews used to come and visit him because he was the most distinguished of them all. That year, 2 of the elders of the people were appointed judges, men of kind of whom the Lord said, lawlessness came forth from Babylon, from the elders who were judges, who were supposed to guide the people. These men came constantly to Joachim's house, and all who had cases to be decided came to them there. And it happened that when the people left at midday, Susanna would go into her husband's garden and walk about. So the 2 elders saw her every day as she went in and walked about, and they conceived a passion for her. So their thoughts were perverted, and they turned away their eyes so as to look upon to heaven or consider justice and giving judgment. They were both smitten with her, but they could not disclose their pain to each other, for they were ashamed to reveal their passion, for they desired to have relations with her, and they watched jealously every day for the sight of her. And they said to one another, "Let us go home, for it is dinner time." So they went out of the garden and parted from one another. Then they turned back and encountered one another. And when they crossed or questioned one another as to the examination, they admitted their passions. Then they agreed together upon a time when they would be able to find her alone. Right now, it happened as they were watching for an opportunity that she went in one day as usual with no one but her 2 maids, and wished to bathe in the garden, as they were very hot, and there was no one there except the 2 elders who had hidden themselves and were watching her. And she said to her maids, "Bring me olive oil and soap, and close the doors of the garden so that I can bathe." And they did as she had told them, and shut the doors of the garden and went out at the side doors to bring what they had been ordered to bring. And they did not see the elders, for they were hidden. And when the maids went out, the two elders got up and ran to her and said, Here the doors of the garden are shut, and no one can see us, and we are in love with you. So give your consent and lie with us. And if you do not, we will testify against you that there was a young man with you, and that was why you dismissed your maids. And Susanna groaned and said, I am in a tight place, for if I do this, it means my death. But if I refuse, I cannot escape your hand. I'd rather not do it and fall into your hands than commit sin in the Lord's sight. Then Susanna gave a loud scream, and the two elders shouted against her, and one of them ran and opened the garden doors. And when the people in the house heard the shouting in the garden, they rushed through the side doors to see what had happened to her. And when the elders told the story, her slaves were deeply humiliated, that such a thing had never been said about Susanna. The next day, when the people came together to her husband Joachim, the two elders came, full of their wicked design to put Susanna to death. And they said before the people, send for Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah. Yeah, it's Hilkiah, right? This is Hilkiah that founded the law of Moses in the bottom of the temple, Joachim's wife. And they did so. And she came with her parents and her children and all her relatives. Now, Susanna was accustomed to luxury and was very beautiful. And the lawbreakers ordered her to be unveiled. Okay, hold on 1 minute. See, get it. And the lawbreakers ordered her to be unveiled, so, for she was wearing a veil, so that they might have their fill of her beauty. And the people with her, and all who saw her wept. And the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands on her head, and she wept and looked up to heaven, for her heart was trusted in the Lord. And the elders said, as we are walking by ourselves in the garden, this woman came in with two maids and shut the doors of the garden and dismissed her maids. And a young man who had been hidden came to her and lay down with her. And we were in the corner of the garden. And when we saw this wicked action, we ran up to them. And though we saw them together, we could not hold him because he was stronger than we, and opened the doors and rushed out. But we laid hold of this woman and asked her who the young man was, and she would not tell us. This is our testimony. Then the assembly believed them, as they were elders of the people, and judges, and they condemned her to death. But Susanna uttered a loud cry and said, Eternal God, you who know what is hidden, or who know all things before they happen, you know that what they have testified against me is false. And here I am to die when I have done none of these things they have so wickedly charged me. And look at this, here we go. And the Lord heard her cry, and she was being led away to be put to death. God stirred up the Holy Spirit of a young man named Daniel. This is where Daniel got his fame from, right here. This the beginning chapters of the book of Daniel. See that? So like I said, Daniel lived all the way through Nebuchadnezzar, his grandson, all of them. So anyway, this what Daniel come on the scene at right here. But it's been taken out of the book of Daniel. So if you want to read all that, it's the rest of it is it's the story of Susanna. Now here go another one. Because we just see where Daniel got a lot of fame, but we don't know where he got his fame from. This way he got his fame right here. Right here. So that's why Nebuchadnezzar latched on to him as soon as they got to Babylon. He already knew about it. Okay, so you got the other one. This is another one right here. So when you add all these chapters up, it's probably bigger than Isaiah. And they got chapters over in Revelations. What gives Revelation its validity. Okay, so let's look at it. The other one is Baal and the Dragon. Let me find it. Okay. Wait a minute. Man, come on, man. In a minute. Okay, here you go. Okay, so it says right here. This is the story of Baal and the dragon, right? When King Astrod was gathered to his fathers, Cyrus the Persian succeeded to his kingdom. So these the same Cyrus that's in the Ezra kingdom. And Daniel was a companion to the king and was distinguished above all his other so he in captivity now, all his friends. Now the Babylonians had an idol called Baal, and every day they bestowed on it 12 bushels of fine flour and 40 sheep and 50 gallons of wine. And the king reverenced it and went every day to worship it. But Daniel worshiped his own God. And the king said to him, "Why do you not worship Baal?" And he said, "Because I do not revere artificial idols, but the living God who created heaven and earth and is sovereign over all mankind." And the king said to him, "Do you think that Baal is a living God? Do you not think that Baal is a living God? Do you not see how much he eats and drinks every day?" And Daniel laughed and said, "Do not be deceived, O king, for it is only clay, and said instead inside and bronze outside, and neither eat nor drink anything." Then the king was angry and called Baal's priests and said to them, "If you cannot tell me who it is that eats up these provisions, you shall die. But if you can show me that Baal eats them, Daniel shall die, because he has uttered blasphemy against Baal." And Daniel said to the king, "It shall be as you say." Now the priests of Baal were 70 in number, right? Okay, 70 in number besides their wives and children. So the king went with Daniel to the temple of Baal, and the priests of Baal said, "See, we will go outside, and you, O king, must put the food on the table and mix the wine and put it in and shut the door and seal it with your signet. And when you come back in the morning, if you do not find it, if you do not find that it is all eaten up by Baal, we will die, or Daniel will, who is making these false charges against you." For they scorned him because they had made a secret entrance under the table, and through it they used to go in regularly and devour the offerings. So it happened that when they had gone, the king put up the food for Baal on the table. Then Daniel ordered his servants to bring ashes, and they scattered them over the whole temple in the presence of the king alone. Then they went out and shut the door and sealed it with the king's signet and went away. And the priests came in that night as usual, and their wives and children, and ate and drank it all up. And the king rose early in the next morning, and Daniel came with him. And the king said, "Are the seals unbroken, Daniel?" And he said, they are unbroken, O king." And as soon as he had opened the doors, the king looked at the table and shouted loudly, "You are great, O Baal, and there is no deception at all about you." But Daniel laughed and held the king's back from going in and said to him, "Look at the floor and observe whose footprints are these." And the king said, "I see the footprints of men, women, and children." Then the king was enraged, and he seized the priests and their wives and the children, and they showed him the secret doors by which they got in and devoured what was on the table. So the king killed them and turned Baal over to Daniel and destroyed it in his temple. Now, there was a great serpent in that place, and the Babylonians worshiped it. And the king said to Daniel, "You cannot deny it is a living God, so worship it." So this right here. So this out of the book of Daniel. They took all this out. So Susanna, the bell and the dragon, and then I showed you how, like I said before, you make the decision. Tell me if it ain't relevant. The apocryphal book ain't relevant. So you go to Daniel, the book of Daniel in King James, and you see I was showing. I kind of got digressed last night. That's why I'm doing this. So we see that Gabriel came to Daniel and told him, gave him a vision. Then Daniel waited, and he came and gave him an interpretation, but it didn't come to pass. So you have to go to the Apocrypha, right? And the Apocrypha tell you it came to pass, and it tells you when all this came to pass. I showed you it's 143 BC. It's when the Israelites was ran out of Israel in 143 BC. So you go to First Maccabees in the Apocrypha, right? Okay, let me get it. You go to First Maccabees in Apocrypha, and it says, "It came to pass." Verse 1 of First Maccabees. It came to pass after Alexander of Macedon, son of Philip, who came from the land of Checham. All this is what Gabriel told Daniel in the book of Daniel. Had utterly defeated Darius, king of Medes and Persians, that he reigned in his stead, and he before reigned over Greece. And he waged many wars and captured fortresses and slaughtered the kings of the earth. And he made his way to the ends of the earth to spoil a multitude of nations. The whole earth was silent before him, and he became exalted. His heart was uplifted. He mustered a very mighty army and ruled over lands and rulers of heathens, and they paid him tribute. Afterwards, he fell sick, just like it was Gabriel told him. And he fell sick, knew that he was going to die, so he called his distinguished servant who had been brought up with him. Okay, your mic is unmuted. Okay, so it says, so he called in his distinguished servants who had been brought up with him and divided his kingdom among them while he was still alive. Alexander had reigned 12 years when he died. His servants succeeded him, each in his own dominion. This right here is chapter 11, what I was just dealing with right here. His servants succeeded him, each in his own dominion. After his death, they all put on crowns, as did this king of the south, north, all that you read in Daniel chapter 11, as did their sons after them for many years. And they did much evil on the earth. And there sprang from them a sinful shoot named Antiochus. This is the king of fierce countenance in Daniel chapter 8. Son of King Antiochus, right, which is a prince, like I said last night. He's a prince. This is the prince in Daniel 9:26. The prince that shall come. He had been a hostage in Rome, and he became king in the 137th year of the Greek kingdom, right? So this is the 137th year of the Greek kingdom. So notice the plan they talk about, the 7 missing years in Daniel, in the book of Revelations, right here, the week, right? So here you go. Let us go and make a treaty. This is a treaty right here, 7 years. Let us make a treaty with the heathen around us, for ever since the time that we became separated from them, many misfortunes have overtaken us. The plan, the treaty, the 7 years they talk about, seemed good in their eyes. And some of the people went eagerly to the king, and he authorized them to introduce practices, see that? Practices of the heathen. And they built a gymnasium in Jerusalem. And this is the third beast. This ain't the fourth beast. See? In a heathen fashion, and submitted to uncircumcision, disowned the holy agreement, and they allied themselves with the heathen and became slaves to wrongdoing. Now, here we go. This is the Daniel chapter 11, king of the south. But they just giving you their names right here. It says, when it's ruled, you got your mic open, Gladys. He said, and when his rule appeared to Antiochus to be established, he conceived the idea of becoming king of the land of Egypt, so that he might reign over the 2 kingdoms. So he entered Egypt with a strong force, with chariots and with elephants and a cavalry and a great fleet. And he made war with Ptolemy. This is the king of the south. Ptolemy, the king of the south, king of Egypt. And Bartholomew turned and fled before him, and many fell wounded. And they captured the walled cities in the land of Egypt, and he plundered the land of Egypt. Now here we go. He came into power in 137 after subduing Egypt in the 143rd year. Here you go. This is when the Israelites left. In the 143rd year, Antiochus turned back, came up against Israel, entered into Jerusalem with a strong force. This is what Obadiah telling you. And in his arrogance, he went into the sanctuary, took the gold altar and the lampstand and the light and all the furniture and all the table for the presentation bread and the cups and the bowls, the gold censers, the curtains, the crowns, the gold ornamentations on the top of the temple. He stripped it all off. And he took the silver and the gold and the choice dishes, and he took the secret treasures which he found and took them all and went back to his own country. He massacred people, spoke with great arrogance. This is the king of fierce countenance. And there was a great mourning everywhere throughout Israel. Rulers and elders groaned, girls and young men fainted away, and the beauty of the women was altered. Every bridegroom began to lament, and she that sat in the bridal's chamber grieved. The very earth was shaken over its inhabitants, and the whole house of Jacob was covered with shame. That's where it came to pass. What was told of Daniel in chapter 8 came to pass right here. And they want to make you think that this got to do with some in the future in Revelations. But all this stuff already happened. It was the angel brought the vision, then he gave them the understanding of it. It came to pass right here. So all this go in the book of Daniel. But they didn't put it over here and put first book of Maccabees on. So I'm gonna go one more place and show. So all these first book, second book, third book, fourth book of Maccabees all come out of Daniel. So let's look at it right here. So I'm in back in the book of Daniel, right? Okay, I'm in the book of Daniel right quick, and it says, like I say, so when you hear this, you gotta do something with it. We at the end. So it says right here, this Antichrist. Let me get it. It said this Antichrist in chapter, I'm gonna pick it up in 8 and 23. And in the latter times of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance shall understand dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully, prosper in practice, and he shall destroy the mighty and the holy people, right? So this is Antioch Epiphanes, verse 25. And through his policies, Antiochus, I just read his policies. He calls the Israelites to go against the circumcision, disown the holy agreement that they had with Yah, all that. Says, and 25 says, and through his policies also he shall cause crafts to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. That's what his name means. Antiochus Epiphanes means he who was greater than God. Anyway, and by peace he shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So who is this prince of princes? Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12 says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, who standeth for the children of our people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So this prince of princes, Yahweh ain't no prince. So this Michael right here, let's go look at it in Maccabees and see if this already happened. So Antiochus. So I'm in Maccabees. Let me find it. Okay. 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 1 minute. Anybody got a comment while I'm looking for this? Yeah, here you go. So it's right here. It says now, I'm in Second Maccabees. This is chapter 9. See now about that time it happened. The Antiochus returned in this order from the region of Persia. Second beast, right? Okay, he's part of the third beast, but we see the second and third beast right here. For he had entered into the city called Persepolis and tried to rob a temple and get control of the city. At this, the people naturally swift resolve of arms, and they were routed. And the result was that Antiochus was put to flight by the people of the country, and he left in disgrace. And while he was at Abanika, that's in Persia, news came to him of what had happened to Nicanor, the forces of Timus, and he, excited by anger, he thought that he would fasten upon the Jews the injury done to him by those who had put him to flight. So he ordered his charioteers to drive without stopping until he finished the journey, although the judgment of heaven accompanied him. For in his arrogance he said, so this judgment of heaven that's accompanied him is what I just read. He said he's going to be broken without hand. He already ran it, Eden already ramshacked Jerusalem. And he tried to go rob this temple to get some more treasury, some more gold, but he got routed. So in his anger, he said, I'm going to go back and finish out what I was doing in Jerusalem. So he on his way back, right? And it says, but the all-seeing Lord, the Prince of Princes, the God of Israel, struck him down with an incurable but unseen blow. For he had hardly uttered his words when he was seized with an incurable pain in his bowels and sharp eternal pains, very justly, for he had tormented the bowels of others with many unusual miseries, and he did so desist at all from his insolence, but was more and more filled with arrogance, breathing fire in his fury against the Israelites, and giving orders to hasten the journey. But it happened that he fell off his chariot as it was rushing along, and was racked in every part of his body from the fall. And the man who just now presumed to command the waves of the sea in his superhuman boastfulness and thought he could weigh the mountain heights in his scales was flat on the ground and had to be carried into a litter, making the power of God manifest in all men. So all these soldiers looking at this, right? All of a sudden, this came on him, right? And while he was still alive in anguish and pain, his flesh fell off, and because of the stitch of the whole army turned from his corruption in disgust. And the man who shortly before thought he could touch the soil of heaven, no one could now bear to carry because of the intolerable stitch. So it was then that broken in spirit, see that? That's what the scripture told you. He was going to be broken without hand. Broken in spirit, he began to be, for the most part, to give up his arrogance, and under the scourge of God, obtained some knowledge, and he was tortured with pain in every instance. And when he could no longer endure his pain and stench, he said this: it is right to submit to God, and since man is mortal, not to think he is God or equal to God. So we see right here all this stuff lining up. It's just all of what you're looking at first and second Maccabees. It's the fulfillment of Daniel chapter book of Daniel, what was given to Daniel by Gabriel. They took it out because of, like I said, they got you thinking that the Israelites was ran out in 70 AD. And so the only reason they put it over there in 70 AD because they got the story of JC in it. But we see in the scriptures, he tell you point blank, the king of fierce countenance is coming, and at the end of the third beast, and he's going to destroy the holy people. That's the Israelites. Okay, so it's like I said, when you look at that, it's got to be the book of Daniel just as big as Isaiah, the book of Isaiah. They took all kind of chapters out, all kind of verses and chapters out of that book, and got them scattered all over the place, specifically in Revelations, to give some meat to Revelations. We got a lot of content out of Daniel in the book of Revelation. Okay. Anybody got any comments or anything on what they just heard? Okay. No comments, questions? Yeah, so like I was saying, I advise everybody, I mean, if you don't have a apocryphal book, I advise you to get one. And you know, just take the time out and start reading those books. You'll be amazed at how it's gonna start connecting dots for you and strengthen your understanding. Okay. So nobody have no questions. We're gonna close it out right here. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say shalom to everybody. I see you tomorrow. You got something?
No, okay, I just saying shalom, man.
Okay, right. Yeah. So we'll see you tomorrow on Clubhouse at 8 o'clock.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Yeah. Shalom.
All right, shalom.